This is a weekly STEP meeting. Our format is as follows. A speaker is asked to talk for 25 to 30 minutes on the STEP of that week, followed by discussion or questions until 7 p.m. You can find these weekly meetings on our YouTube page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown. Don't forget to smash the button, subscribe, and share. That brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting on this day of January 20th, 2025 in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, at the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and Step Group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Our speaker tonight is somebody who I met when I first moved here to Pennsylvania about 2.5 years ago, and has always been a huge support, never gave up on me, and is really a true example of how to work this program and how your life can change by working this program. And he will be sharing his experience on step 1. Please help me welcome Ian.
Thank you, Kat. Everybody, my name's Ian. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic.
Hi, Ian.
Hey, Ian.
And I thank you for asking me to speak today, because when AA asked me to do something, unless I'm deathly ill or, have something with my children, I'm going to say yes, because AA it saved my life. And there was something that I read today that really, I read it and it really I thought about it, this kind of really speaks to me as in my sobriety. In AA, we're all through with lying, hangovers, remorse, and wasting money. When we were drinking, we were only half alive. Now that we're trying to live decent, honest, unselfish lives, we're really alive. Life has a new meaning for us so that we can really enjoy it. We feel that we're of some use in the world. We're on the right side of the fence instead of on the wrong side. We can look the world in the face instead of hiding in alleys. We come into AA to get sober, and if we stay long enough, we learn to live a new way of living. And that's me. But it all started with the first step. My sobriety date is February the 16th, 2022. So God willing, in a little less than a month, I should celebrate 3 years. This is not my first time in AA. It's my second rodeo. I had 3 years before, and I went back out because I did AA the first time for all the wrong reasons. I did AA the last time to get everyone off my back. And when I came into the rooms, I would come in late to meetings. I would leave early. I'd be in the room with my phone doing work or whatever else I was doing on my phone. And I was checking the boxes, announcing from the rooftops to everyone that I knew that, hey, I went to an AA meeting, leave me alone. And I never really, I knew I drank too much. I didn't think I was powerless over anything. And I sure could not admit that my life was unmanageable. So I went back out for some more controlled drinking, and it worked. Alcohol controlled me. Mm-hmm. And it got really ugly for me. I come from a long line of alcoholics, but really good people. I grew up from a huge Irish Catholic family, and my dad was one of 8. I'm the oldest of 25 grandkids in my family. So I'm the oldest in my family of 3, and I'm the oldest grandkid in a big family. And every Sunday growing up, there was parties at my grandmother's house. In the summertime and springtime, I was in the backyard cooking chicken and always a keg of beer. In the wintertime, it was spaghetti dinners on Sunday night and a keg of beer. And so I got a taste of alcohol early because we would clean up and I'd finish the empties here and there. But I also came from my family was dysfunctional, and alcoholism was prevalent in my family. And being the oldest of 3 kids, for the better part of about 5 years, the parenting duties fell on me to help my father because my mom was in really bad shape. Her alcoholism took over our lives, and my father made a commitment to me. He said, I'm not going to give up on her, and I need you. And I said, okay. So any kind of idea of surrendering was kind of put out the window then. I couldn't surrender for anything. I had to fight to the end. I never put up the white towel. And so I grew up in a household where I was, from a very young age, very angry. very anxious. I was fortunate enough to go to a private school where my dad taught down in Fort Washington, and so I kind of felt in this school that I was, not a part of and less than because of the socioeconomic backgrounds of these people living in my friends living in huge houses, and I lived in a great neighborhood, but it was. My bathroom was in the same place the neighbor's bathroom was in the house, It was, and I loved it, But I did not. I felt less than, not a part of for a while, and I covered up my mom's drinking by not allowing my friends to come over to the house. I used to take care of the outside of my house, like manicure the yard. Like it looked like a country club. Because I want anyone who drove by to say, that's a beautiful looking house. It must be a great family. Because if everything on the outside looked great, it would cover up that the inside was pretty chaotic. So I always kind of was in control of things. I always had to be in control, and I always thought I could handle things myself. My mom did get sober. She got sober in the old Flowertown Center above the bar. I always loved that, AA meeting above the bar. And I went, being the oldest, and kind of really, when my mom was drinking, she got really physical with my sister and brother, and I'd have to kind of deflect her away from them, and bait her away, and getting hit in the face, and pushed and then verbally abused by her, and I knew she didn't mean it. I knew it was the alcohol speaking, but she did get sober. She went away for 90 days, and she got sober, and I loved the old Flowertown Center because I knew that she had found her people. So I went to meetings with her all the time. I wish I had listened then. I wish I had taken the advice of people close to me, including my father, was my best friend, my hero. He always told me, Ian, you got to speak to someone professionally about what you've gone through. And I said, no, I'm good. It's very stubborn, and I've got this under control. And when I went to college, my drinking took off. It was, my mom was stable. She had a couple of years of sobriety under her belt. I played baseball in college, so I got recruited to play at a school down in Maryland. And there was no father on campus anymore, so it was kind of like the tiger was out of his cage, and I somehow found a group of people that drank like me, and it was never out of control, and I drank a lot. I was actually really into school, so I did well in school. I played baseball. My baseball career kind of suffered from my drinking, but it was a good college life, but I never ever thought that I had a problem because I always was in school. Monday morning, I could always turn the switch off, but when we turned the switch on, it got pretty out of control. I got a job right out of school with a firm over in the main line, and I got an expense account. Somehow the company that I worked for, everyone drank like me. Or I didn't hang out with the people that drank like me, and my career took off, and everything was going great. But along the way, a lot of things happened to me in my life that I was incapable of dealing with. My mom took her life after 18 years of sobriety. That was pretty heavy. When our son was almost a year, my brother and my father found her and called me over, and we got her to the hospital, but she was already brain dead. And I can't. The only thing I can think about is, and from reading some of her notes and stuff, was that she felt like a prisoner in her own body. She had many isms, and depression, eating disorder, alcoholism, anxiety, and I think she just got tired, and it sucks. And I never dealt with it. My father, after teaching at Germantown Academy for 46 years, retired. They named part of the upper school after him. He was born to be a teacher, not only in the classroom but in life. And he was my favorite teacher. And 5 months into his retirement, he was planning to travel. He had met somebody, which I was really happy about, and he was going to travel. And he got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And that's when my ex-wife told me that she lost me. And because my drinking went from being a luxury to being an absolute necessity. I spent every day with my dad for a year after his surgery. and taking them downtown to chemo at Jefferson. And every Monday we had a whole regimen. So Friday we go to LabCorp, Saturday we get the results back, and I had copious notes. So I was his caretaker because he had taken care of me and so many other people that he expected it and I wanted to do it. So every Saturday the results from LabCorp, Sunday get our game plan for the week. Monday at 9 o'clock, meeting with his oncologist, and then at 11 o'clock he get tapped up in the infusion room with like 3 different kinds of chemo, and they would give him an anti-nausea in his central line, so he would go to sleep. And the minute he would doze off, I'd run to the bar. All the bars within the 2 square blocks of 9th and Chestnut knew me very well. So when my dad was fighting for his life upstairs on the 5th floor, I was destroying mine. And I finally, got people were complaining. People were coming to me and saying, "Listen, you got a problem." And so I came into the rooms that in protest. And he passed away, and I put together a couple of years of sobriety, but it was all, I was dry, but I wasn't sober, because I couldn't admit that I was powerless over alcohol. I couldn't admit that my life was unmanageable. I always controlled things. I started a company, I sold a company, started another company, I provided, the house with the picket fence and the dog and the 2-car garage, and, I thought, how can I be an alcoholic? There's no way. Alcoholics are people that they're like Shooter and Hoosiers, the bums. And but I thinking to myself, also thinking my mom was an alcoholic, and I think I know this is hereditary. It's in the genes. But I'm doing everything right. The one thing I wasn't doing right was being there for my family. For a couple of years, the end of my drinking, after I got sober for 3 years, I went back out on a business trip with some new partners, and I kept it a secret for a couple of months, and it got really bad to the point where I was really sick, physically sick, and I still couldn't admit that I had a problem. And went to my hepatologist. My GI doctor referred me to him because I was yellow and I was losing weight, and my ex-wife, who I'm very, very good friends with today. My disease destroyed our marriage, and we've been together since high school. But my recovery has helped us have a really, really wonderful friendship now and a partnership, and we parent great together. We have 2 amazing kids. And I hope this whole process can break the chain for them. But my hepatologist turned to me and he says, "You're going to lie to me and still tell me that you're not drinking?" And I said, "Yeah," just lying through my teeth. And he did a PEth test on my liver, which measures your enzymes. And he goes, "Well, the test I gave on your liver, it's only 2 other times I've seen an enzyme test this high. So whatever you're doing," he said, "whatever it is you're doing, if you continue to do it, I'm going to give you 2 months to live, maybe 3. So I left that meeting with my doctor. My ex-wife went her own way, and I went my way, and I went to a liquor store. And it was a liquor store in Flourtown. It was a Tuesday. And I sat in the parking lot for a half an hour while people were doing normal Tuesday things around. I never forget, woman was running her kid in a stroller. Guys were having a meeting at the Starbucks in Flourtown outside because it was somewhat of a nice day. People were going into the Walgreens, and I'm sitting there begging myself not to go in and get a bottle. And by that time I had become a straight liquor drinker. I mean, why take the local train when you take the express train, right? So alcohol had gone from being the magic to being a maintenance thing for me to being misery for me. And I couldn't physically stop drinking. It was the scariest point of my life. I wanted to stop drinking, and I physically could not stop drinking. I went in and got that bottle that day, and I drank it, and it's the last drink I've had. On the way home, I had some kind of moment of clarity where I said, "I'm really sick." I thought about my mom. I thought about how my mom battled and fought, and I was, I grew up in a middle-class family, but I was given everything I needed was in front of me and at my beck and call. And how dare I? How dare I do this? And I came home knowing that there was going to be consequences when I came clean, and there were going to be rough consequences. But then I thought about my kids, and they wanted their father back, and So I came clean, and I said, I can't stop. I'm powerless. I'm powerless. And my life is now, I know, is unmanageable. I finally accepted step one. I was at step zero. I call step zero, this shit's got to stop. And step one, I finally tackled and said, I am powerless over alcohol. If I put that first drink in my mouth, I can't stop. So I had to do something. So I came to my ex-wife and I said, I've been lying to you. And she was like, no kidding. Really? So she said, you're out of the house and you got to find a treatment center. And I'm not going to help you do it. You just got to do it. So by the grace of God, I found a place in Florida. I went down there, and on March the 8th, 2022, I'd put together a few weeks of white knuckle sobriety, and this place said, you're going to do whatever you can to stay sober. And I said, just please fix me, help me. And they said, we're going to tear you down and build you back up, and it's going to involve tearing off some Band-Aids. And I was like, all right. And what they meant by that was that, I'd have to go through the regular 30 days of treatment, but they would want me to stay for an extra 30, so 60 days for trauma treatment. I didn't think I had trauma. I didn't think I had any trauma at all. They did like a PTSD. I'm like, I wasn't in the military. They're like, you can have PTSD without, being in the military. They did a test on me, and I scored off the charts. Like I was really messed up in the head. So I stayed for 60 days. I didn't want to, because halfway through the treatment set, being in treatment in Florida, my wife filed for divorce. And I look back now, at the time I was like, how dare she? Because it was all about me. And I was like, you know what? I look back now, and one, she saved my life by, she was enabling my drinking. I was, abusing the trust, and she basically made a decision that I had to end this marriage so he saves his life. And I was in a safe place. I didn't have my wallet or my phone, so I had to, I was in a safe spot. So I said, yeah, I'll stay for another 30 days. I'll stay for as many days as you need me to stay. So I stayed at the end of my 60 days, and we dealt with a lot of trauma with my mom, growing up in an alcoholic family, my father's passing, which was really heavy for me, and not, the fact that I had untreated trauma for so long that I was drinking to escape everything. My drinking was a symptom of a much deeper issue in Ian. And this time around in my sobriety, I've learned that I need to peel the onion back on Ian every single day to learn what my character defects are. I am not perfect. I am perfectly imperfect. I had to treat this alcoholism one day at a time. I went to sober living, bed to bed, from West Palm Beach, Florida, on May the 7th, 2022, to 99 Laurel Lane in Lansdale, to the Sunlight of the Spirit House. Of course, I got in there the first night, and I did not want to be there. It was heavy duty. I mean, I was on the third floor, the attic room of 99 Laurel, and my one roommate was talking in his sleep, having, vicious, like, nightmares, talking in his sleep. The other roommate was a professional snorer. And I looked at the ceiling, and I said, this is where alcohol has brought me. And, I will do anything I can to stay sober. I called my sponsor the next day. I said, I'm really uncomfortable here. And he goes, good. Now the recovery can begin. So of course, within the first week, I wanted to have my end date in sober living. Like I want to know when I'm out of here, right? And so 3 months. Let's do 3 months. So got to 2 months. I said, you know what? 3 months. I'll stick to 6 months. And during that first 6 months, I had a cancer scare. They found a tumor in my leg that was the size of a golf ball. And I didn't drink over it because of the camaraderie and the fellowship in that house. 16 guys who I would never ever have been friends with otherwise, but I was becoming very close with because of addiction. And all we were trying to do was get one more day. So after they removed that tumor, and it was benign, and I had some major reconstructive surgery to replace with the bone and stuff they took out, I said, I'm just going to stay here until my higher power tells me it's time to go. And I stayed there a year until a carriage house opened up near my family, near school, where our kids go to GA now too. And one day at a time, I've been able to achieve a life that I never thought I would live. I have so much clarity right now in my life. I'm very much in service. My father was very much in service his whole life. Peace Corps veteran, big brothers, big sisters. He told me, Ian, service to those who need us is the rent we pay to live on this earth. And it took me a nasty addiction to actually realize that he was absolutely right. I sponsor men. I have the pleasure of taking about 10 guys to the steps right now. I do a clothing drive for Sarnelli House in Kensington and Rock Ministries as well. My home group is the Flowertown Thursday step meeting at noon, but I make meetings. Because I was in sober living in Lansdale, I make meetings everywhere. I won't travel. I have a new business with my partners we just started about a year and a half ago. I won't travel unless I know I can get to a meeting and they know I'm sober. This program has saved my life. I have seen Kat battle, and she is the epitome of coming back one day at a time, keep coming back. And I think what you've done is amazing. You've helped me stay sober. I was the GSR for the Chalfont group for 2 years, a role that I didn't ask or didn't even accept the offer. They said, you're the GSR. And I said, all right. And one of the things that we did on that GSR for District 23 was, doing AA promotion outside, And yesterday, coming back from the Eagles game, because I have Eagles season tickets, I got on the subway and very excited but stressed out from the game. And I sat down. It was a packed train, and there was one buddy here and one there. And I said, you want me to move for you guys? And they said, nah. And the one guy goes, I'm so messed up. And I chuckled, and he goes, this has got to stop. Step zero, right? And I look up on the subway, and it says, if you want to drink, it's your business. If you want to stop drinking, it's our business. AA. It was an ad for sepia, what we did in the district. And I turned to the guy and I said, hey, man, there's always AA. And he goes, that shit doesn't work. And I said, I'm not going to go any further because he was hammered, and it wasn't probably the right time for me to do a 12-step call. But I sat there the whole entire ride back thinking, this program works so well if you want to do it. This program is for people who need it, obviously, but it's for people who want it, and more importantly, it's for people who do it. But the first step is the one step that we have to do perfectly, and that's we have to admit that we are completely powerless, and that our lives have become unmanageable. And it's taken me rock bottom to figure that out, and that's just my path. That's God's path for me. I do have a very close contact with my higher power, who I choose to call God. I get him in my thoughts every morning before my thoughts get into my head, because my thoughts are no good. Usually anything I do, whether it be work or life or recovery, my first thought, I'm like, I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to mull this over and think about it and talk to somebody. So I do that. Every day I know that I can. Yesterday's sobriety is not going to help keep me sober today. So I do this little thing where I wake up in the morning and I look at myself at 50%. I want to get to my version of 100%, whatever that is for the day. So if I wake up at 50%, first thing I do is hit my knees, pray to God to keep me sober and direct my thoughts, my actions, and my words. And then I'm at 60%. I do some self-help reading, or I go for a walk. Then I'm at 70%. I call another alcoholic. I'm at 80%. I go to a meeting. I'm at 90%. I come home at night and I pray at night. I'm at 100%, knowing full well tomorrow morning I'm back at 50%. And that's just how I do my program. I can't drink. I think about alcohol every day. I'm an alcoholic, but I thank God, and that's why I say I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic. I don't have the obsession to drink, because that obsession is brutal. I also say I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic because I think about my father. When the business that I had was a cancer diagnostic laboratory. We did pathology, so we read my dad's pancreatic slides, his biopsy slides. I had to tell him he had cancer, and it was bad. How great it would have been for me to come in and say, hey, Dad, you know what? If you pray on in the morning, if you call on a cancer survivor, if you make a cancer survivors meeting every day, you can arrest your disease. There was his diagnosis was terminal. He is going to die within 6 months to a year. I know I will never be cured of alcoholism, but I know that if I admit every day that I am powerless over alcohol and that my life is unmanageable if I put alcohol in my body, I can be recovered, which I am, of a hopeless state of mind and body. And that makes me so grateful. So that's all I got, guys.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Please limit. Sure. Thank you. Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes. Please keep your shares related to this step. If you feel like drinking or if you have had a drink today, please see me or speak with somebody after the meeting. We ask that you please refrain from the use of profanity. Thank you. We are in a church and on a spiritual journey. Okay, and we'll open it up.
Karen.
Hello, Ian. Thank you so much for coming.